What if I told you that the United States government once officially labeled a free breakfast program for children as the single greatest threat to the internal security of the country? It sounds like a fever dream or a conspiracy theory, but according to declassified FBI memos from May 1969, J. Edgar Hoover himself ordered his agents to eradicate the Black Panther Party's community programs because they were winning the hearts and minds of the people. This wasn't just a political disagreement, it was a shadow war. Welcome to the era of Black Power, a decade between 1966 and 1975 that fundamentally restructured the American psyche. Most of us are taught a very sanitized version of history where the civil rights movement ended quietly in 1965 with a few laws and a handshake. But the truth found in the 1976 Church Committee reports reveals a much darker reality. A systematic, illegal campaign by the federal government to neutralize black leadership and prevent the rise of what they called a Black Messiah. The shift began in June 1966, during the March Against Fear. A young activist named Stokely Carmichael had been arrested for the 27th time. When he was released, he didn't talk about turning the other cheek. Instead, he stood before a crowd in Greenwood, Mississippi, and declared, "We've been saying freedom for 6 years and we ain't got nothing. What we gonna start saying now is Black Power." As documented in Carmichael's own autobiography, Ready for Revolution, that moment was a lightning bolt. Black Power wasn't a call for racial exclusion. It was a demand for self-determination and psychological liberation. It was the radical idea that black people should define their own terms, lead their own organizations, and support their own culture. By 1966, this energy took physical form in Oakland, California. Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale founded the Black Panther Party for self-defense. They weren't just carrying law books and legally registered firearms to monitor police conduct, though the 1967 California State Assembly records show that certainly terrified the establishment. They were building a nation within a nation. You've likely seen the grainy photos of the leather jackets and berets, but the historical archives of the Oakland Museum of California tell a different story. The Panthers were running over 30 survival programs. They had free health clinics, testing for sickle cell anemia, and the free breakfast for school children program. Research published in the Journal of African American Studies confirms that by 1969, the Panthers were feeding 20,000 children every single day. This brings us to the most chilling part of the research. While the Panthers were feeding children, the FBI was intensifying COINTELPRO, the counterintelligence program. Declassified documents now available through the FBI's FOIA vault reveal that the Bureau spent millions to sow internal paranoia and factionalism within black organizations. They sent forged letters to wives to break up marriages and anonymous death threats to rival leaders to incite gang warfare. The government's fear reached a bloody breaking point on December 4, 1969. In the early morning hours, Chicago police, working in direct coordination with the FBI, raided an apartment and assassinated 21-year-old Fred Hampton while he slept in his bed. A 1970 federal grand jury report later confirmed a staggering detail. Of the nearly 100 shots fired during the raid, 99 came from the police. Hampton's crime? He was a charismatic orator, successfully uniting the poor across racial lines into a rainbow coalition. He famously said, "We don't think you fight fire with fire best. We think you fight fire with water. We're going to fight racism with solidarity." This wasn't just a conflict of bullets, it was a conflict of identity. The Black Power movement gave the world the phrase, "Black is beautiful." It forced a global acknowledgement of the dignity of the African diaspora. It wasn't about hate. It was about the refusal to be hated. As we celebrate Black History Month in 2026, we have to look past the slogans and look at the logistics. Why were the most effective community programs in American history treated as an act of war? Why were leaders who fought for breakfast and medical care silenced by the state? The Black Power movement wasn't a failure, it was a blueprint. It showed that power is never given. It is taken through organization and radical self-love. But I want to hear your thoughts on this. Looking at the evidence of COINTELPRO and the suppression of these community programs in the late 1960s, do you think those tactics are truly a thing of the past? Or has the secret war simply evolved into something more subtle today? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's have a real discussion. If this history moved you, hit that like button, share this with someone who needs to hear the truth, and follow for more deep dives into the archives they didn't want you to see. Happy Black History Month. Stay curious and stay powerful.